Hey everyone, this video is to walk you through completing your compatibility matrix. If I'm completing a compatibility matrix, the steps that I need to do is to go back to my client profile. And in doing so, I can find out pertinent information that will help me complete this grid. And I'll talk about the details of that. When we're completing the matrix, the first place to get started, and obviously you're going to have this all filled out, but the first place to get started is to coordinate what rooms you have that you're going to put within the unit and put them on your compatibility matrix. So you can draw this up. I've got a base underneath here. I may not use up all the lines. So I would use this as an introductory one and then go ahead and make one that didn't have it. But let's just go ahead and fill out the lines, and then you'll be able to count it and even do it ahead of time before you even construct it. I'm going to go ahead and start out with a marker at first so that you can see the words, but I'll be filling in this lower part using the plus or the minus depending on what the relationship strengths are into these squares here. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to label it as kitchen. And this is perfectly fine to have handwritten when you're filling in the lines, right? So we have ADA bath. We're going to have the living. We'll just call it the living area for now. Based on what your client says, if they define it more as a family, you could certainly write that in. We have the foyer. So they're not in any particular order as to the flow of the space, but more or less what are you trying to have in and include, all right? So we have the main bedroom, and I'll abbreviate that. And of course, the marker I picked is not working. Let me go ahead and grab a one that you can see a little bit better. I wanted to see if I could do it with a marker for you, but it looks like I'm going to do it with a pen. All right, so we'll continue on. Thought this pink would do it, but it's not. All right, so what you can do is you can fill this out. Again, I'm doing this in more of a permanent ink. I would suggest that you do these for the pluses and minuses. You'll bring this in, you're going to take a picture of it and load it with your assignment, but then what you'll be doing is bringing in a copy of this. And if it's all in the pluses and minuses are in pencil, it gives you the ability to change things as we talk through the decisions. All right, I'm going to keep going on with the rest of the information. Just make sure you can see that, okay? Okay, so we have guest bedroom. We're going to go to our office. We'll call it an office or remote working area. Again, whatever your client kind of wants you to define it more as. We have the foyer closet. And though it's not next to it, you could certainly organize it however you want. Well, we're going to see that in obvious sense that when we have the foyer and we bring it up to the closet, that's definitely going to be a strong relationship. That's a really good idea. Now, the other one, and I'm going to suggest that you include that because it's going to be that you have these extra goals. And maybe the ADA bath is only going to be the only one. But if we can put these in place, what ultimately do you want to achieve? All right. So as I mentioned before, I'm filling out with this grid. You're going to make your own grid as the directions indicate in your assignment. You would want to go ahead and leave these other rows out and just complete it as this section so it looks finished, blowing it up so it's nice as big as possible, okay? All right, now, when we use a compatibility matrix, it means that we're identifying how spaces interrelate with one another. When we have a strong relationship, you have a plus symbol. And we want to make sure that we have that as a key at the bottom. Sometimes students will make this compatibility matrix as they've been directed and they leave this key out. This is really critical. What we're trying to do are what we classify as strong and weak relationships. And this is very important in the conceptualization in this programming phase of figuring out what needs to interact with each other. All right, so it's interaction. It's not necessarily that they're going to be divided walls and a door. It could mean that they're just going to be near each other. It could mean that there's going to be no wall there at all once we start figuring out the plan, but we're starting very conceptual. That's why you haven't gotten any kind of formal drawing or measurement sketch of your unit. So if we're looking at the ADA bath, now there's a few ways we can think of this. If the ADA bath is going to also be serving for the main bedroom, then I'm going to put that as a plus. If the client really wants this 3/4 bath, let's say for the foyer, then you can go ahead and orient it to that. Right now, I'm going to leave my possibilities open as much as possible, okay? So the ADA bath, we have to have a strong relationship with the kitchen, right? Because if we're in the kitchen, we need to use the restroom. Maybe you could do it if you had the half bath coming down from the kitchen. If you can instill that half bath, which means just a toilet and a sink, then I would go ahead and put this as a plus or a strong relationship, all right? So as we work through, we have the ADA bath. We'll go ahead and we're going to deal with the fact that if this was my only bathroom, it would be a strong relationship. Let's talk about that half bath again. If I talk about the half bath and I go back up to living room, you would see that that's a plus. So we're going to try to shoot for that, but I know that I've incorporated it just with one bathroom if that's all I can fit in when I do the space planning. So the ADA bath is pretty much going to be, it's important to go to the foyer. The main bedroom, we already decided. The guest bedroom, that may be the only one that they're using as well. From the office, that would be a strong relationship. I would say the only one that it's not a strong relationship with is the closet. Your half bath would be, as you go up and down from here, these should pretty much all be, except for that foyer closet. This one can be a minus, but as you work your way on the table, it should be, we'll do these as, well, actually the guest bedroom, we don't want just necessarily a half bath situation. So let's go ahead and we're going to make that a minus. And what we will do is that we have a guest bedroom situation with a 3/4 bath, so they could at least take a shower, because a 3/4 bath means a shower, a sink, and the toilet. Whereas an ADA full bath here is the tub with a shower and the sink and the toilet, okay? So we'll have the guest bedroom as at least the 3/4, not so important to the half bath because we would want some way to shower. And if we have the 3/4 bath, we don't really need that, definitely don't need that to the foyer closet. These two don't have to be in relationship to each other. So half bath, 3/4 bath, that can be negative. The office was already addressed with the half bath, so we'll make that as a negative. And then with your 3/4 bath, the main bedroom, that is a possibility. If I could still use that, and then the ADA bath only gets used in sort of what we call public spaces rather than branching off a bedroom, we have to see how much room we can coordinate with that. Then when we have 3/4 bath going to the foyer, we'll indicate that as a negative, as well as the living room. We could have that as a half, so we'll make this as a negative. The next thing that we have here is your ADA bath with the 3/4 bath. That's a negative. And the kitchen we already made as a plus, so we'll make that. So as you go through, you want your pluses and minuses. There should be an equal scattering of both pluses and minuses in the strong and weak. Sure, everything has to relate to each other because it is all one home unit. But based on what I write here, there's certain interactions that maybe when they talk about this remote or work office, they want that off of what might be the main bedroom, right? So you're going to write down the information in here enough that you would know how to complete this. So let's say the kitchen and the living room, they would like this interaction. They like the idea of someone being able to easily take some drinks or snacks right out to the living area. It doesn't mean that they're going to be right next to each other. It doesn't mean that there won't be a wall. It just means how close you could get to it. So let's make sure that we have that interaction as a plus. And I'm just surmising here. You're going to have to see what your client wanted to do, but I wanted to show you a complete version of this matrix. So with the kitchen and the foyer, we're going to indicate, I'm actually going to indicate that as a strong relationship, because if I'm bringing in things from the outside and I want to put things away, or the client wants to put things away, meaning their guests in the rental, this is a nice opportunity to see that. If that should be something more that they've talked about, a private space where you want that really disconnected, we can go ahead and leave that as a minus. The living room and the foyer, what is the idea? They come into the foyer, that main entrance area, and then you come, because we can see there isn't any rear entrance here. So we're imagining there's just one way that we come in. When you have the living room and the foyer could easily flow into one another. We can move from this into a seated area. The main bedroom to the foyer, we're going to divide the private and public areas, so we're going to make that a minus. And then when we look to the living room with the master bedroom, separate that public from the private space and indicate it as a negative. The guest bedroom going to the living room, we're going to make that so that it could be as private. They may literally be next to each other, but they're going to ensure privacy for one another by these negative relationships. The main bedroom and the guest would have minimal interaction with each other. The foyer with the guest bedroom, that would be a negative. The kitchen, do we want that in regards to the main bedroom? I don't know, maybe they do snacks in the middle of the night and yours would be positive. But the negative here with the guest bedroom to the kitchen as a negative. The office, maybe they're often getting coffee and they really want to have full access to all that, so we can make that a plus. The foyer closet, not interaction except for actually being interactive with the foyer itself, and that's where we would bring in the foyer and the plus symbol here. So the foyer and the foyer closet. The main bedroom and the guest we had as a negative. The office and the guest, keep those work and private and sleep separate, those activities. So office to the main we'll have as a negative. And then we have the guest bedroom or the office to the foyer. Make that a plus so that's easy to come in. The office to the living room. I'm going to put that as a negative. You'll have to see what your client wants. The living room to the foyer closet, minimal. The guest bedroom to the foyer closet, minimal. The office to the foyer, minimal. And then this one is your main bedroom to the foyer closet. Again, a weak relationship. So whenever you have the minus, you have a weak. Oh, we got one more left. So this would be the half bath to the ADA bath, and that would also. So that completes it. And again, when you create yours, you'll go ahead and leave this out. You now know what you need to do, so you'll know to create it with this many rows. I was working with a pre-done one, but your layout could look just like this. You can handwrite things in, you can architecturally letter it if you want. This will go in your portfolio. So though it's a working document and we may plus and minus it and pencil that you can change it, if you can do one now that you'd like to put into your portfolio, I would suggest you make it to that level. All right, so that is a matrix.